Renata Colton hadn't eaten a full meal in 3 days. Her landlord had slipped an eviction notice under her door that morning, the third one this month. Her car, a 2009 Honda Civic with a cracked bumper and a missing side mirror, was the only thing she still owned outright. She had a 6-year-old daughter with asthma. No insurance. And a hospital bill sitting on her kitchen table that she couldn't open anymore because her hands would shake too badly to refold it. But every morning, Renata Colton put on her uniform, pinned her name tag straight, and walked into Harlow's diner with a smile that never once asked anyone for anything. She had her mother's stubbornness and her daughter's laugh to protect. That was enough. Until the black Bentley ran the light and changed everything. She had protected that smile through everything life had thrown at her. But she had no idea that the one thing that would finally break her world open, was sitting in a storage unit her mother never told her about. Renata Colton had been a waitress at Harlow's diner for 6 years. Not because she dreamed of it. Because it was the only job that let her drop Lily off at school by 8 and still make rent by the 15th, on a good month. She was 31 years old. She owned 2 pairs of work shoes, 1 cracked phone screen, and a 2009 Honda Civic she had named Gerald because it groaned every time she started it and somehow kept going anyway. Lily was 6. Bright-eyed, gap-toothed, and asthmatic. The inhaler alone cost $83 without insurance. Renata knew that number the way she knew her own birthday. Her mother had passed 2 winters ago, a stroke, fast and without warning. After the funeral, Renata discovered the woman had left behind $14,000 in medical debt and a storage unit full of old letters. She paid the debt first. She always paid what was owed. The letters she hadn't opened yet. At Harlow's, she was the best they had. Table 6 always asked for her by name. She remembered orders without writing them down, refilled coffee before anyone asked, and never once let a hard day follow her through the front door. Her manager, Doug, knew it. He just never said it out loud. What nobody at Harlow's knew, what Renata hadn't told a single soul, was that her mother had once worked for a man named Hargrove. Edmund Hargrove. One of the wealthiest men in the state. And that the letters sitting unopened in that storage unit were addressed to her mother. In Edmund Hargrove's handwriting. Every single one. Renata had driven past that storage unit every single week for 2 months. She had never once stopped. Tonight, a stranger's Bentley was about to give her a reason to. It happened on a Tuesday. Renata's shift ended at 2 p.m. She had exactly 40 minutes to pick up Lily's inhaler refill from the pharmacy on Clement Street before the school bus dropped her at the corner. She was cutting it close. She was always cutting it close. She pulled Gerald out of the diner's back lot, checked her mirror once, and eased onto Morrison Avenue. She never saw the black Bentley. It came from the left, fast, clean, and completely silent the way expensive things always are, and clipped Gerald's rear bumper with enough force to spin the little Honda sideways into the curb. The crack of metal was sharp and ugly. Renata's coffee thermos hit the dashboard. Her heart hit her throat. She sat still for 3 seconds. Then she got out. The man stepping out of the Bentley was tall, somewhere in his late 30s, wearing a charcoal suit that cost more than Renata's monthly rent. His dark hair was pushed back. His jaw was tight. He was already looking at his watch before he'd fully assessed the damage. His name was Cole Hargrove. He didn't offer it. "I'll have my assistant send someone for the car," he said, scanning Gerald's crumpled bumper with the detached efficiency of a man who settled things with phone calls. "What's your insurance information?" Renata looked at the damage. Then at him. "I don't have comprehensive," she said evenly. "But I have a phone and I know how to dial 911, so if you'd like to handle this the right way, I'm happy to wait." Something shifted behind Cole Hargrove's eyes. Not respect. Not yet. Just the faint surprise of a man who expected less. He noticed her name tag then. *Renata. Harlow's Diner, *. He didn't know why it made him pause. He didn't know yet that his father did. Cole Hargrove had walked away from 100 problems with a phone call. But something about the woman in the diner uniform stayed with him the entire drive back, and he didn't know yet that his father's name was the reason why. The police report took 47 minutes. Renata missed the pharmacy window. She called the school, spoke to Lily's teacher in a voice that didn't shake, and arranged for her daughter to wait inside until she arrived. She had done this before. She knew which teachers would stay late without making her feel guilty about it. Cole Hargrove stood beside his Bentley the entire time, phone pressed to his ear, conducting business as though the accident were a minor scheduling conflict. His driver, a quiet man named Arthur, watched Renata from a respectful distance. It was Arthur who noticed. He noticed the way she photographed every angle of the damage methodically, without panic. The way she spoke to the responding officer, Officer Daniels, with complete composure, even when Cole's attorney called the officer's personal line within minutes of the report being filed. The way her hands only trembled once, briefly, when she checked the time and calculated how long Lily had been waiting. She didn't complain. Not once. When Cole finally ended his call and approached her, his tone had shifted, still clipped, still controlled, but fractionally less dismissive. "The repairs will be covered," he said. "Fully. I'll need your information." "You already have it," Renata said. "It's on the report." She handed the officer her copy, picked up her thermos from the sidewalk, and looked at Cole Hargrove with eyes that were steady and completely unimpressed. "I hope the rest of your Tuesday is better than your driving," she said. She got back into Gerald. The engine groaned. It kept going. Arthur watched the little Honda disappear around the corner and said nothing. But that evening, when Cole asked him what he was thinking, Arthur answered quietly. "That woman has been through something. And it didn't break her." Renata drove home with a check she hadn't asked for, a key she hadn't used, and a promise she hadn't made yet. That night, all three of those things were about to collide. The repair check arrived 3 days later. $4,200. Far more than Gerald was worth. Renata stared at it for a long time at her kitchen table, Lily asleep in the next room, the storage unit key sitting beside her coffee mug where it had been sitting for 2 months. She made a decision that night. She drove to the storage unit alone. The letters were bundled in rubber bands, organized by year, going back 33 years. Her mother's name, Dorothea Colton, was written on each envelope in the same controlled hand. Renata opened the oldest one first. By the third letter, she understood. By the 12th, she was crying. Her mother had worked for Edmund Hargrove for 11 years as his private household manager. Somewhere in that time, they had formed something neither of them had a name for. The letters were not love letters exactly. They were confessions. Edmund had written to Dorothea about things he had buried from his own family, a business deal that destroyed a small town's pension fund, 43 families left with nothing, covered up with lawyers and silence, and a charitable donation that was never actually paid. The last letter was dated 8 months before Edmund Hargrove died. Asterisk, if anything ever happens to me, give these to someone who cannot be bought. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to be that person myself, asterisk. Renata sat in that storage unit until 3 a.m. Then she made a promise to a woman who could no longer hear her. I'll finish it, Mama. Weeks passed. She found an attorney, a young woman named District Attorney Priya Nolan, who had been quietly building a financial fraud case against the Hargrove estate for 2 years and had hit a wall without primary evidence. The letters were the wall coming down. Renata handed them over in a plain envelope on a Wednesday morning before her shift at Harlow's. She was back at table 6 by 8 a.m., refilling coffee like nothing had happened. Cole Hargrove received the call on a Thursday. He was in a board meeting when his attorney's name lit up his phone 3 times in 4 minutes. He stepped out on the third call. The letters. The pension fraud. 43 families. His father's handwriting. All of it confirmed, documented, and now in the hands of the district attorney's office. He drove to Harlow's diner himself. Renata saw him walk through the door. She finished delivering table 4's order before she approached him. She did not hurry. You knew, he said. His voice was quiet. Controlled. But his hands were not. I found out, she said. There's a difference. You could have sold those letters. Half a dozen outlets would have paid you 6 figures for them. Renata looked at him steadily. 43 families lost their retirements, Mr. Hargrove. I'm not interested in profiting from that. I'm interested in it being corrected. Cole stared at her for a long moment. What do you want? He asked. Nothing from you, she said simply. Your father left instructions. I followed them. She turned back to her tables. The Hargrove estate reached a settlement 14 months later, $27 million distributed across the 43 affected families, administered through a court-appointed trustee. Cole Hargrove cooperated fully. He liquidated 3 personal assets to meet the number without touching the company's employees. The charitable donation his father had promised but never paid was finally made, in Dorothea Colton's name. Renata kept working at Harlow's for another 4 months. Then she enrolled in paralegal studies, paid for by a scholarship she applied for herself. Lily's inhaler was never a calculation again. On the day Renata passed her certification exam, she found a single envelope in her mailbox. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note. * Your mother would be proud. So am I, ch**. She folded it carefully and put it with the others. Some debts, she understood now, are not about money at all. They are about whether the truth finally finds someone brave enough to carry it home. She hadn't wanted money. She hadn't wanted recognition. But what happened 14 months later, in a courtroom she never set foot in, would change 43 families forever. And it started with a waitress who simply refused to let the truth stay buried. Some debts are not about money at all. They are about whether the truth finally finds someone brave enough to carry it home.